Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff Mom Never Told You, production of iHeartRadio. All right.
Oh, God.
Here's today's question.
All right.
Is there ever a conspiracy theory that you got really into? Not necessarily believed, but like got really into?
No, I don't think I really understand conspiracy theories because I'm not about digging. I'm lazy. Let's just leave it at that. I'm just really lazy. And some things, I believe some things are not being completely truthful. So I do think things are being hidden. But my theory is everybody's hiding something.
That's your conspiracy theory.
Yes, and I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory.
No, it's not.
It just is, and so therefore, why worry about it if it's a really big deal? Okay, to be obsessed with something like this type of conspiracy can actually really cause a lot of harm. So I'm just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I have like theories on things, but I think my theories are not relevant because I'm not I'm not the professional. I'm not the expert here.
Yeah.
So I just kind of move on.
I thought you were going to say, but my theories are not theories because what I think is true. And I was like, if I find out.
So true.
you come swinging as some conspiracy theorist, but you don't admit it.
I mean, I don't know if I believe that aliens don't exist, although, we know that the White House just released some weird photos for some odd reason.
Did I tell you about my UFO experience?
You've had a UFO experience?
Yes, I have. Recently.
Tell me about this, please.
Well, I was visiting my mom. We did the whole quarantine thing in Alabama. And I was out late at night, very, very late. And I was just looking at the sky. And it is near a military base. So this is probably what it was. But it looked like I saw this ball of light. And it looked like Iron Man, like how it moved, like it darted and danced and stopped and would go up and down. And it was beautiful. The movement was like how when you're playing with a laser pointer with a cat,
Yeah. That's what I imagined.
It looked like a shooting star, but moving like that. And it was out there. I stayed out until sun came up, and it was out there all night. I tried to wake people up, and they would not get up. So no one can confirm it, and my phone was dead. Of course it was dead. But yeah, I don't know what it was, but it was pretty.
So do you have conspiracy theory about that or just overall?
Not really. No, I just, I know that I saw it and I don't know what it is. That's pretty much all I can give you. I don't really have a theory about it except that there is a nearby military base.
But honestly, in the closet, like in front of you, is there like a whole diagram of where you believe? Like you're just not showing it to me?
Behind me? My closet is very cluttered. It's quite possible.
I feel like I'm going to find something hidden somewhere.
I was terrified of aliens growing up, and it was after my brother showed me that Roswell autopsy video. And then played a very cruel prank on me right after that. And it's stuck with me. So I guess not really a conspiracy theory, but I have anxieties around aliens and UFOs.
Well, there you go. That makes sense.
Yes. I got pretty big into the Paul is dead one for a while. I didn't believe it, but I did. I called the phone number and I did the whole thing. Anyway, if you don't know what I'm talking about, look that up if you're interested.
Okay, I have to look that up too.
Yes. Okay, we're not talking about that one in particular today, but we are talking about QAnon, and specifically women in QAnon. And very, very basically, so diluted because this is a very sprawling theory.
I'm not gonna lie, it's so interesting to me that people are so willing to grasp onto this. And it's really phenomenal to see women in this. But yes, keep going.
Yeah, I feel like it's a catch-all conspiracy theory where you can pretty much put in any conspiracy you want in there.
Right.
And then it will work even though it doesn't make sense. So this is a conspiracy theory that revolves around, at its heart, it's protecting Trump. That prominent Democrats and liberals are involved in a global satanic child sex trafficking ring. Someone close to Trump with security clearance named Q, it's called Q clearance, claims that Trump is the only one that can take down this satanic child sex trafficking ring, which is interesting because the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, but all right. It started on 4chan and grew after Pizzagate, and the FBI considers them violent extremists. Or they have the potential. They're extremists that have the potential for violence, I think is probably a more accurate
I think they're
way to
on
say that.
alert with them, right? FBI has kind of put them as an alert, but has not really classified them yet.
Yes, because there have been several violent instances and just kind of frightening things.
Right.
Like the guy who showed up to Pizzagate had a gun.
Right.
It could have gone much worse. And their membership has rapidly grown during the pandemic, thanks to things like doom scrolling and social media algorithms, and people in positions of power. Like we've seen SWAT team members sporting Q merchandise, or police union heads showing their support for QAnon, and know, our president himself.
Yeah, that has not said it out loud, but has retweeted many things, as well as we see people who are running or people who are in government officials taking the oath, which I was trying to figure out what is happening. What is this? And some folks over at Vox recently did a piece where they used a computer program to analyze one of QAnon's biggest subreddits to get an idea of who was on there. And it was largely ardently pro-Trump supporters who are also men's rights activists into video games, martial arts, and yes, mostly white men. Most of them are conspiracy light, quote, but most of the content is produced by a small part of the sub, like 200 out of 50,000, and they're active conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of people in this subreddit it's almost like they're casually perusing it. They're not commenting, a lot of them. They're not posting, but they're there. But 200 of these like big conspiracy theorists are posting almost all of the content.
Which is hilarious.
It's interesting. But more and more women have started supporting QAnon, despite these kind of these men's rights activists, despite possibly because of, can share the same views. In our Women in Politics Part 2 episode, we mentioned that a handful of female Republican candidates, embrace QAnon, and one here in Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who we mentioned, just won a primary despite, having made many racist comments. She also once said, "The most mistreated group of people in the United States today are white males." At least 14 Republican candidates that openly support QAnon have made it to runoffs or will be on the ballot for November's election. We just kind of want to have a conversation about that.
I know, like you and I have been talking about this for a minute and just kind of trying to wrap our mind around this thought that this is the way to have a platform and that it's working, working for women. It's kind of like how we've talked about how women have to be overachievers to be seen. And so that means to also be an extremist. And maybe this is what's working. Like Melissa Rain Lively or QAnon Karen, who trashed the mass selection at a Target and live streamed it. She called herself the QAnon spokesperson, which do you just give yourself this title? Did someone say she was this? This is really
she told
interesting.
The police that,
It's like, interesting. She has since called the outburst a symptom of a depressive episode, which could be true-ish. But also the community that you participate in would be a factor.
Yeah. Well, her experience is really interesting because she's spoken about it. She's written a book about it, about how quickly it took hold and how it destroyed her life.
Not her actions, but the consequence, right?
Well, because in her words, she was part of kind of this like yoga wellness groups. And that's sort of the entry point for a lot of, especially on Facebook, like QAnon, to kind of infiltrate. And then I think they cited spirituality as one of the biggest like kind of overlaps. And so she was involved in those groups. And then like friends of hers said, well, you should check out this QAnon thing. And like it was within a matter of months, it just consumed her life. And they talked about how it's sort of an echo chamber because right now we're deprived, we're isolated. A lot of us don't have jobs. There's like more time. And you're depending on social media for contact in a lot of ways. And it forms this echo chamber because of the algorithm. It just gets bigger and bigger. A lot of people spoke about, like, they're not doing it when they make these videos of them yelling at people for wearing masks. It's not for you. They're purposely doing it so they can post it on Facebook later and get a bunch of likes.
Right. And say we're fighting the system. It's really interesting, too, that I think, because one of the big, well, many celebrities, but one that's big on Twitter, obviously, is Chrissy Teigen. And the amount of vitriol because of this QAnon theory and them going after her, calling her a Satanist, talking about how she ate babies, that she sacrificed babies, she molested babies. It was such a weird phenomenon. And I'm just sitting here going, what is happening? Who's talking about babies? Like, who's talking about eating and sacrificing babies? What is happening? And this whole level, even to them saying, Jesus is going to come and get you, / through Donald Trump.
Right.
And it's like a big chunk of it, what seemingly is middle-aged white women.
And more and more,
More and more. And even to a point where I have had friends just talk about theories about, not even theories, about their beliefs and seeing things that are going wrong with the way that pandemic is being handled or the way election fraud is being seen, all of these things. And a woman respond who was obviously 40, 50 years old, say, I don't know, I only know one thing, that I'm a believer of Jesus Christ, and I believe that this is evil, killing babies after they're born. And I'm like, what? Who's doing this? She's like, and I will not allow that. And that I know, even though I may not agree with everything, that Trump's going to save us from that. And I'm kind of sitting there going, killing babies after they're born? What are you talking about? That doesn't even make sense. And trying to reference it as if it's a part of the abortion propaganda. But somehow that gets flushed under the QAnon thing. That it's not just abortion, it's about sacrificing to Satan.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a different show, and other podcasts on our network have done it, but it's interesting why, like, the reason your brain wants to believe in conspiracy theory and kind of what makes a conspiracy theory.
Right.
But going back to that, like, this is all about protecting Donald Trump. It's a way to justify, like, make it make sense, and that everyone else is against him.
Right.
And, you know, Robert Mueller is a big part of this too. They say they were working together.
Right.
It was all a big, and that's to justify why Trump was being impeached. Like, it's
such a huge, and because, and again, this is kind of a theory in my own mind, in that the way to get to middle-aged white women is to talk about the possibility of the death of a child, or like that almost, you know, maternalistic, I have to protect, because it's come to the point that people who do work in sex trafficking, who do work in prevention of child sexual abuse, all of that, are having to come out and be like, please stop doing this. These theories actually hurt our work. And having to be like, you are taking this light off of what is really, really happening, and therefore damaging the system in trying to get these kids out, those kids who are truly, truly affected. And it's a kind of a phenomenon that these people who believe this theory are believing they are warriors fighting a battle, which is, again, people need a quest, I guess. And this is kind of that level of what this quest looks like and how they're bringing in women. Because a lot of this, again, when we talk about the men's rights activists, you start thinking, wait, this is not for your betterment. Like, you think you're saving someone at the sacrifice of another thing, but it's not. I don't understand what's happening.
It feels like a very mix and match conspiracy, though. Like, you can really choose what parts you want to believe. And also, like, there's so much discussion of who Q is, and some people think it's like a leftist troll. And but they've done a lot of outlets. I've seen it described as this is like a role-playing game gone wrong. Like, Q, it was never meant to come to real life, but people do feel like they are warriors and they're protecting people, and it's their duty, it's their mission. So yeah, this is dangerous for a lot of reasons. There's violence. We've already seen some attacks, some attempted kidnappings. putting people at risk, not wearing masks, also just being total jerks by yelling at kids who really don't,
Right.
or who try to enforce mask policy and recording it. And yeah, it's troubling that more and more women are getting involved and that they're getting elected potentially.
Right.
Yeah.
As major bigwigs, and I'm very scared.
Yep. Me too. And this is something we're going to be keeping an eye on. We have done episodes on women, and past hosts have done episodes on women and cults, but it'd be interesting to return to and talk about women and conspiracy theories, maybe.
Yes.
But in the meantime, listeners, we would love to hear from you. Our email is stuffmediamomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter @momstuffpodcast or on Instagram @stuffmomnevertoldyou. Thanks as always to our super producer, Andrew Howard.
And JJ.
And JJ Fosway.
Thanks, guys.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff Mom Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.